Hello everyone and welcome back to MK's Aviation. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be comparing Gemini jets and NG models. This is part of a competition that Redriveraviation is doing because he has hit 2,000 subscribers. So congratulations to him and thank you to him for doing this fun little challenge between us YouTubers and the aviation community. But first off, I know this is going to be sort of a hot topic, and I'm going to be giving my personal opinion, so I hope you don't get too offended. Hopefully you don't get offended at all, but this is just my personal opinion. And with that being said, I think we'll just jump right into this. So starting off, first you can already see a difference here between these two companies. In the box, this is what you first see when you get these models out of the box. Obviously, you guys know what these two boxes are going to look like from these two companies, so I'm not going to waste too much time. But the one thing I will say is everyone, complains about Gemini Jet's box not being too colorful or just being very boring. Personally, I do not mind Gemini Jet's boxes. I'm a big fan of uniformity, so I don't really mind that. But moving on, because I don't want to waste any more time on the box, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is Gemini Jet's models coming broken. Now, before I address this issue, I want to give a little bit of background about myself as a collector. So I've been blessed to collect 1 to 400 models for 4.5 years. I've collected a lot of models over that span of time, 143 of which are Gemini Jets and 21 models that are NG. So I do consider myself to have a lot of each model company and have a pretty good idea of what their product is. Throughout my collecting, I've received 8 broken Gemini Jets over the entire 4.5 years of collecting, giving Gemini Jets a 5.6% chance of coming broken out of that 143. Out of the 21 NG models I've collected over the years, 2 have come broken, giving NG models a 9.5% chance of coming broken. Now, I know this is a little bit of an unfair percentage just because I have a lot more Gemini Jets than I do NG models, but when you really look at it, the math doesn't lie. That's about the same rate, if not worse, of NG models coming broken than Gemini Jets. So while it is true that Gemini Jets has really struggled over the past couple of years of quality control, it's also not fair to say that all of the Gemini Jets models come broken, because that is certainly not the case. The Gemini Jets do struggle, I'm not denying that, but we've also seen NG models start to have their own issues of their own after the release of, for instance, their A321s and 737s and models like that. After they have gone into mass production of these models, we've seen issues, most notably with the Southwest 737-800, JetBlue A321, which came broken to numerous people. I know for a fact that Gemini Jets 13 received a bunch of these broken. And also you have the American A321 by NG that had all sorts of issues that came with it. The color, wings breaking, even landing gear breaking. I think the most notable example would have been Starline's, man. His was just demolished. So as we've seen NG start to go into a bigger production role, we've seen some of the same issues as Gemini Jets has been having over the past few years. So I don't know if this is due to postage or whether this is due to the company, but there's definitely a whopping need of improvement on both sides. That brings me to my next point, which is molds. We've seen NG models sort of take the dominant hand when it comes to most molds. Most notably, difference is the 737 mold, which has gotten a ton better over the past few months. But just looking at this right now, you can see that Gemini Jets' mold for the 738 is just, in this particular model, just way better than NG's. You've got the height the gear height is way off. I mean, the nose is way too high. Engines, I'm not really sure. I still think NG's the one in the wrong as far as the engines being too small. I think Gemini jets are pretty correct. But then when it comes to winglets, from what I've heard at least, there's no question as to who's right. I've heard that Gemini jets are way out of proportion. I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard other people say it, so I'm gonna repeat it, hopefully trust them. But yeah, apparently their winglets are way too big. And again, that model came out in 2015, and this model came out in like 2018, and this thing just like, this looks like a bird or something, man. I mean, this is just my worst model by far. Maybe the worst model in Gemini Jet's history. But and again, it's been obvious that NG has improved a heck of a lot. I still think Gemini Jets has a better nose, but overall, I mean, NG is way superior at the moment to Gemini Jets' quality that they're offering right now. So yeah, NG models definitely takes the cake as far as the 737-800 mold. But what I think a lot of people just take for granted or forget is that Gemini Jets still has a rockin' 737-900 mold. There's an issue with the previous Delta 737-900 with wing flex, but overall, I mean, Gemini Jets has had a stellar 737-900 molds for probably a decade now. So while it's fair to give NG the title for best 737-800 mold, I mean, they don't even, NG models does not even have a 900 or 700 mold. So Gemini Jets has to be the best in those two departments. So I'd say that the 737 is mold in general for all variants is still a tie between these two companies, just because you have to take into consideration NG models doesn't even have two of the 737 molds. I mean, Gemini Jets has a max mold too. And I know that NG is a very new company, but you still have to take that into consideration when you're comparing the two. Another relatively new mold and highly competitive mold for both of these two companies is the A321. And frankly, neither company at the moment has a bad product. I mean, we've had the Delta A321 and the Spirit A321 from Gemini Jets, and we've had the JetBlue A321 and the Spirit A321 from NG models. And frankly, both products are very good. Now, as far as quality, we've seen a lot of issues with NG models, A321s, and Gemini Jets has a little bit of issue with wing flex and engine size, but overall, both of these models are very nice models, and mold-wise, I'd probably give it to NG models, but you're also hoping that it doesn't come broken. So that's something you have to take into consideration. Another thing is, I don't really like NG models' windows that much. I just think they look a little like they stick out too much. They have a little bit too defined line. But I think Gemini Jet's windows just look a whole lot more realistic. And that's NG models on all of their windows for all of their models. I just think they stick out a little bit too much, but that's my own opinion, and you can think whatever you want. But definitely the most competitive mold has to be the 757. I mean, when you look at Gemini Jet's 757, this is just their bread and butter. I mean, it's perfect. Not a thing they did wrong. I mean, everything, engine size, gear, winglets, tail, I mean, it's just magnificent. It's Gemini Jet's best mold by far. And the 757 is also my favorite aircraft type. And then when you look at NG's 757, it's also near perfect. I mean, this is what NG models started with. This was their first mold. I mean, engine size is perfect, gear is perfect, winglets are perfect. I mean, these are like the two best molds for both companies, so it's gonna be a big competition. And I know you all want to know, well, who wins the competition? And in my opinion, it's gotta be Gemini Jets. Just because, again, I think NG models winglet or cockpit windows, they just stick out a lot more than Gemini Jets do. So, I think Gemini Jet takes the cake on this one. I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion, but that's mine. Another highly competitive mold is the 787, but yeah, at the moment I think you'd probably have to give the 787 to NG. Even though NG models has molds that are superior to Gemini jets most often, Gemini jets still produce a lot more molds than NG models do. Most notably the 777, ERJ-175, and 767. This is not to say that NG does not have the upper hand in the molds that they have now, but it does mean that Gemini Jets is a better company if you are looking for a wider diversity of models. And who's not to say that NG models won't have these in the future, but at the time of making this video, you have to hand it to Gemini Jets because they just have a lot more molds in general than NG models does. The next big issue regarding both of these companies is color. NG models normally has a more bright and vibrant sort of sense to their models. Whether it is realistic or not, they just look very vibrant, and like you could see that, for instance, on their Southwest 737s in the Canyon Blue. And I fly Southwest a lot, and my dad's a pilot for Southwest, and he agrees with me that Gemini Jet's version of this Canyon Blue is more realistic. Now, which one looks better? Well, I'd probably say the NG models one looks a lot prettier, just because it's a lot more brighter, catches your eye more, and it's more like brilliant. But which one looks more lifelike? Well, the Gemini Jets version. So this is a trade-off you're gonna make a lot of times when you're buying your models between lifelike and looking good. So if you're just in it for fun, maybe you go for the looking good. But if you're trying to make it realistic, well, I would recommend Gemini Jet's coloring over NG models coloring. Other notable examples of this would be the JetBlue A321, which was well documented by Gemini Jets 13, who pointed out that the green and the dark blue and blue, they're a few shades off, and it just doesn't look right to him. So, those are more examples of how NG models paint might be a little bit nicer looking, but it's not as realistic. So, who has the better paint overall? Well, as I've said a billion times, if you're going for realism, get Gemini Jets. If you're going for looks, get NG. I'm going for realism, therefore I think Gemini Jets has better paint. Now the last point I want to get to are the companies themselves. Gemini Jets was started in Paradise, Nevada in 1998. Ever since, the company has been making high quality 1-400 and 1-200 scale models for over 20 years. The company was the premier brand of 1-400 scale models, known for its untouchable detail and quality, but in 2016, things took a turn for the worst. Models started coming broken and having all sorts of issues. It seemed that there was no other alternative, as Gemini Jets was the only company regularly releasing American models, until NG Models busted onto the scene in 2018. NG Models, a company founded in December of 2017 and based in China, started releasing high-quality 1-400 American models. Their popularity exploded with the extremely popular July 2019 releases. Since then, both companies have competed fiercely with each other and have continued to dominate the 1-400 scale model aircraft market. We've already compared each company's products. Now let's take a look at each company's customer service. And well, neither are very good. First, you have Gemini Jets blocking people for fairly and unfairly criticizing them over their models and quality. Even with this, they have shown signs of improvement and have been apparently listening to their customers because their models have been getting noticeably better over the past few months. On the other hand, you have NG Models, who always gives you a nice reply when you ask for something. But you and I both know that NG Models does not give a hoot about what you want, and they're just trying to keep a good image, and they've been their fair share of criticism too. Next, you have their websites. Gemini Jets is a very nice and user-friendly website. You can purchase models and view new or future releases. You also have access to a database of every Gemini Jet model that has ever been released and a full list of retailers and a way to contact Gemini Jets directly. NG's website looks eerily similar and is set up almost identically. NG's website is not as user-friendly as Gemini jets, and half the time it doesn't even work. Now the last thing we need to cover concerning customer service is credibility. When you pre-order a Gemini jet, you know that you will get your model within a month. Rarely, very rarely, is there ever an exception. But when you order an NG model, you have no idea when it will get to you. For example, I ordered the United Her Art Here liveries in April 2020 and received them in late July 2020. And I know people who are still waiting and never received models from 2019. So I think it's pretty clear who has the better customer service. Obviously, it's Gemini jets. Now, I'm gonna tell you who, in my honest opinion, is the better company. But first, let's review the evidence. First, quality. Well, we've seen Gemini jets have their issues, and NG have their fair share as well. But I think NG still has better quality, so they'll take the trophy in this category. Second, molds. While NG typically has better molds, Gemini Jet still offers a much broader variety of molds and still has some very good molds that NG has as well. So for this reason and this reason alone, I think Gemini Jet takes the cake in the molds category. Now I know, as I've said, Gemini Jets has been around a lot longer than NG has, but the question is who's a better company, not who's going to be a better company. So for this reason, I think Gemini Jets has to win. Third, color. As I've stated earlier, Gemini Jets has better color. And fourth, customer service. And I think it's clear that Gemini Jets has a much better website and is much more reliable than NG. For these reasons, I think that Gemini Jets is a better company than NG models. Now I know this is an unpopular opinion, but it is the one I've had all along, just because of the reasons I've stated. So please be respectful to me and other viewers down in the comments, just because everyone is entitled to their own opinions. This is mine, and I would like to hear yours. But that does conclude this video. Again, thanks for Red River Aviation for doing this competition. Go check him out. Also, if I somehow win this competition, I would like to hopefully get the 717, just because I could always use more, and they just have a lot of routes out of my airports. But yeah, sorry I went a little over 15 minutes. I just needed it that extra time to go over what I had to say, and also just for viewers watching this in the future. But yeah, I want to thank you for watching this video. Again, please be respectful down in the comments, but I do want to hear what you have to say, and I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.